brought to you by our friends of the British Council. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy at the Studio 34 Fantasy Sports Network here in New York City. We've got another great Six Nations segment with our all-star panel, including Mr. Steve Lewis calling in from the Pig and Whistle in New York City, Mr. George Hook calling in from Portugal, and Mr. Peter Jackson calling in from Wales. All right, Steve Lewis is on his way to the airport, but he stopped by the Pig and Whistle, which is like this Scottish custom he has to have a meal before he gets on a plane. So, Steve, we understand that you're on your way to the airport, so we want to get you off and running. Steve, you're taking time out from your lunch. Go ahead and fill us in on your thoughts on the first two rounds.
Okay, an expected win for Ireland, obviously. Major talking point is probably Henshaw's injury, which rules him out the rest of the tournament. England, major talking point there would be probably the disallowed try that Wales didn't get. And with regard to the Scotland game, obviously a much happier Scotsman this week than last week. A deserved win, 32-26. Looked like we were in trouble early on. Went behind 10-0 and then 17-7. Two great Teddy Thomas tries. But this time Scotland pulled it out. They showed a maturity and a leadership and to play test rugby at the top level. And a lot of that was down to Greg Laidlaw. So his recall, and then actually the inspired coaching decision to move him to fly half, bring on Price, take off Finn Russell, so we could rely on Laidlaw's cool temperament under pressure and obviously ultimately 8 from 8 goal kicking.
Steve, so what do you make of Finn Russell's play, specifically after signing the big contract to play in France?
Finn Russell's a fantastic player. He's an entertaining player. He is beyond skilled. However, he had a tough day against Wales, and he had a tough 60 minutes against France, particularly kicking from hand. Always a threat with ball in hand, but one of the basic bread and butter skills of fly half is making touch, and he missed 2 or 3 times, I believe. His confidence may have taken a bit of a dent, but he's a top player, and he'll be back.
All right, Steve, so you said the changes by Townsend were inspired, but were they inspired or were they desperate?
No, I thought the changes were great. He actually only made 4 changes. He brought on Toulouse and Denton up front, a couple of big bodies who carried the ball well in the final 20 minutes. Brought on Ali Price, took Finn Russell off, and moved Laidlaw to fly half. Now, that was not expected, so that's one for Townsend. That's a great coaching decision. He kept Laidlaw on, goal kicking, composure, great decision by the coach.
Now on to the Twickenham incident. Was it a try for Wales, or was Newman completely mistaken on this?
For Wales against England, absolutely a try. Absolutely.
So how that Sam Hill could they award that try then?
You'd have to ask the TMO. He made a decision. He had the access to different angles, but certainly from a limited angle, looked like a score to me.
Wow. A diplomatic Steve Lewis. On that note, we'll let you go. Safe travels, and say goodbye to the gents that have been waiting patiently for you to finish.
Cheers, guys. Catch you later.
So, gentlemen, you heard Steve Lewis. He's thrilled about Scotland. He's thrilled about the moves that Townsend made. He did cite the Henshaw injury, which we know was a devastating one, as a big key to the tournament. Martin Pengelly, who can't be here right now because he's out gallivanting, did leave us with a quote. He said, "I think Gareth Anscombe's try was 50-50, but Gatland said zip when Wales got a bonus point out of a very bad refereeing decision versus Scotland, and that Launchbury was better than all 4 Lions locks also playing, and that Underhill made a tackle to stop the try that was a marvel according to all known laws of physics." That's what he had to say. With that, Mr. Hook, let's turn it over to you in Portugal.
Well, first of all, there's only one person on the billions of people who inhabit the planet who thought it wasn't a try. I hope the guy is sacked. I hope he never appears on international rugby duty ever again. It probably cost Wales victory. France have now imploded beyond all possibility. The latest news, 8 of the squad dropped for sexual impropriety in Edinburgh. So we now have 8 Frenchmen who are facing a possible police investigation, a French police raid on the French Federation officers. What is likely to happen to French rugby now, I think, is simply beyond belief. Italy are better than we think. they were within one tackle of scoring 4 tries and a bonus point against Ireland. And therefore, that then poses the question, what is the Irish defence like? And the Irish attack is now proven to be toothless. The 7 highest tackle counts in 6 nations' history are against Ireland. France, 253, Wales, 243, Italy, 235, and so on. And why are all the tackle counts against Ireland? Is because Ireland just run into people. And England will, I believe, beat them for that reason. Scotland, I mean, Steve talked a lot of horsemen in Europe. If it was so inspired by Townsend, why didn't you pick the date in the beginning?
Yeah.
Why did you not pick it? That's the real question.
Yep. In fact, I asked Steve Lewis that question on week 1. Peter, if there was ever a time where, and I know George is going to hate this, but if there was ever a time to play Warren ball, to just ram the ball continuously at the 10 and 12 of the 2 Fs, Ford and Farrell, it was this instance, especially with Lee Halfpenny, my tournament man of the match, the first round. He's out. You've got a team that's potentially more explosive than you. You're on the road. Why not just wear down the 2 fly halves at 10 and 12?
I disagree with that prognosis, Matt. With all due respect, I think Warren ball is dead and gone. It outlived its usefulness. Teams got wise to it. Wales are trying to play in a slightly more subtle way. I thought it was an incredible test match, a real test match, a contest right up until the end. And when you bear in mind that Wales were missing 9 Lions, it was one heck of an achievement. Now, right from the word go, when I saw that try that wasn't, I was convinced that Anscombe had got there before Anthony Watson, the England wing. The replay showed that. World Rugby has today come out and said that the TMO, Glenn Newman, God bless him, made a mistake. Now, we all make mistakes in life. Heaven knows I've made more than my share. But when you have all the video evidence at your disposal, that's a pretty hard mistake to make, because the more you played that film, the more obvious it was that Anscombe had got his hand on the ball. Now, nobody's going to say that had the try been given that Wales would have won the game. We don't know how it would have panned out for obvious reasons, but the fact of the matter is that at the end, there was only 6 points in it. And there's another thing about Wales. I mean, I've been very critical of Wales over the years, but it's the first time I've ever seen a test match where the opposing team at Twickenham has conceded only 2 penalties, 1 in each half. First time I've seen England at Twickenham when they have not had a single penalty shot at goal. And to maintain that level of discipline when you were under the cosh as much as Wales were, conceding 2 tries in the opening quarter, I think that's phenomenal.
George, did Wales kick the ball away too much?
Well, I mean, as Peter well knows, for a century and a half, there's been a conveyor belt of Welsh fly ash. And what we saw until they finally made the right decision and take Patchell off was a dreadful Welsh fly half. And I found that very sad. Or it may be right, but all the old tradition, all the old beliefs, all the old certainties about this great game are gone. And part of the reason why it's gone is fake news. Because what we now have is we have fans with typewriter. Everybody right talking about the game is a former player, and they will not criticize their former colleague. People like Peter Jackson wrote honestly and fearlessly about a game he loved. You're not getting any analysis now, serious analysis about what's going on. And I'm in tears that the country that gave us elan, joie de vivre, and all that thing about great rugby finds itself in the state is in. I think Italy have a real chance of beating that.
Well, what's that? The Giuseppe Garibaldi Trophy for the wooden spoon now?
No, that's for the France-Italy game.
That's what I mean. That's what we're talking about.
You're right.
It's basically becoming the wooden spoon match, and Garibaldi's rolling over in his grave someplace.
That's if French players stay out of trouble.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so gentlemen, final thoughts on going forward. Peter, why don't you take it first?
Yeah, well, France against Italy. I mean, I weep for Italy. George made the point that, yes, they were with one phenomenal cover tackle by Keith Earls of getting a bonus point. I think it is ludicrous that you should get a try bonus point for scoring 4 tries when you concede twice as many. There's something not right about that. I do also weep for Sergio Parisse, one of the all-time great players. And you look at Italy now, and you look at the beatings they take, and you say, how many more of those can he take? Maybe they've improved in certain areas, but, you know, for Ireland, it was no more than a glorified training run, I didn't think. And so I would expect France, even France might fancy the chances of filling their boots in Paris on Friday night. Ireland against Wales, huge game. Wales probably will have Lee Halfpenny back. They'll have George North back. That'll be a real acid test of exactly where Ireland are at. I think Ireland will be too good for Wales. And then you've got Scotland against England, and I would still expect Gregor Townsend to start with Finn Russell. I did think maybe that was a banana skin for England. I'm beginning to think now that that's stretching the imagination a bit too far.
All right, hey, George, final thoughts?
There's only one match in doubt, and that's Ireland-Wales. When you think that Ireland have lost their 2 best centres in Gary Ringrose and Rob Henshaw, they're putting in a substandard, and it is a substandard midfield. And this will increase Schmidt's attitude not to take risks. I mean, you talk Warren ball. Schmidt ball is 10 times as negative as Warren ball ever was. And I think Wales, who beat Ireland by making 243 tackles, if they make 243 tackles, if they have a reasonable fly half, they're in with a real shot.
All right. Well, gentlemen, once again, it was a pleasure. I'm sorry for the technological hiccups, but we look forward to hearing from you guys next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. In the meantime, on behalf of Mr. George Hook, Mr. Peter Jackson, and Mr. Steve Lewis, Matt McCarthy in New York City for Rugby Wrap-Up at the Studio 34 Fantasy Sports Network, signing off.